morning. Today we are going to see about photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a biosystematic process in which the green plants prepare their own food by the usage of sunlight and carbon dioxide. As a result, the carbohydrate is prepared. So this process is also known as carbon assimilation. Photosynthesis literally means synthesis in the presence of sunlight. So here the sunlight is converted into chemical energy. So 90% of this photosynthesis is assimilated by the green and marine and freshwater algae. So coming to the basic chemical equation of photosynthesis, here the carbon dioxide reacts with water in the presence of sunlight to form a simple sugar, and oxygen is released as a byproduct and water. So here the light energy is depicted in the form of HAJEE. Then this is an oxidation and reduction process where the oxygen is a byproduct and glucose is synthesized. Nearly 686 kilojoules of energy is released by the single photosynthesis reactions. So as I told you, it is an oxidation and reduction reaction. So here the oxidation, you all know, oxidation is nothing but the loss of electrons from the substances. So here you can find the oxidation is taking place in water. So water is oxidized in the presence of sunlight, it is taking place. So it is also known as photooxidation. So water is photooxidized to release oxygen. And coming to the reduction reaction, so reduction reaction is nothing but the gain of electrons to the substances or loss of oxygen. So here the reduction reaction takes place in carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose. So here you can find the oxygen molecule is lost, and here the H, that is the hydrogen ion, is added. So coming to the overall reaction of the photosynthesis, so here the photosynthesis consists of two reactions. One is your light reaction, another one is your dark reaction. So in light reaction, what happens here? In light reaction, the ATP and NADPH2, that is the energy rich compounds, are synthesized and water is photooxidized or photolysed to release oxygen. Okay, and coming to the dark reaction, so in dark reaction carbon dioxide comes in and this carbon dioxide is assimilated in the form of sugar. So this is an overall view of photosynthesis. So this photosynthesis takes place in chloroplast. So in this chloroplast structure you can find the light reaction takes place in a disc-like structure known as thylakoid. So the light energy is assimilated in thylakoid. As a result, the ATP molecules and water is photolysed to oxygen. Okay. So here the next reaction, that is a dark reaction, that takes place in the stroma of chloroplast, where the ATP and NADPH is utilized to form a sugar by using a Calvin cycle. So where this photosynthesis takes place? So it takes place in prokaryotes. Both an anaerobic organism and aerobic organism take part in it. Okay, and cyanobacteria also take part in it. As I told you, photosynthesis takes place in the thylakoid of the chloroplast. Coming to the eukaryotic organism, all the plants, okay, they take part, and algae, they take part in this photosynthesis, and it takes place in a chloroplast. So this is a complete structure of the chloroplast. So you can find there is an inner membrane, outer membrane, and inside a disc-like structure is there. The single unit is known as thylakoid. The group of that disc-like structures are known as grana. In between you can find some cytoplasmic substances are present. They are known as stroma, and this thylakoids are interconnected by the connections which are known as stromal laminae. So this is about the structure of the chloroplast. So here below you can see that. Then coming to the first reaction, that is the light reaction. So this light reaction is basically a primary photochemical reaction It is the first stage of photosynthesis where the water is break down to release hydrogen ion and the hydroxyl ion, and it is an and the energy rich compounds are released like NADPH2 and ATP, and it takes place in thylakoid membrane. Otherwise, you can also say a grana. So this light reaction where the oxygen is produced in the presence of sunlight from the water is known as Hill reaction, and it is also known as a non-cyclic where the NADP is reduced to NADPH2, that is the energy rich compounds. Right. So here the light reactions are of two types. One is your photophosphorylation, another one is your so in this photophosphorylation, the cyclic one is there and non-cyclic one is there. Okay, so first we will see what is the cyclic and the another one is non-cyclic. So cyclic, from the name itself, it is clear that it takes place in cyclic manner. So here in both the cycles, the important work is done by the photosystem. So you can find there are two photosystems in this light reaction. One is your photosystem 1 and the photosystem 2. So photosystems are nothing but the group of the chloroplasts as well as the various other pigments which absorb the sunlight. So they work as a unit. So this is known as photosystem. So at the center of this photosystem you can find there is a reaction center, and it is surrounded by the number of antenna pigments. Okay, so in case of photosystem 1, at the center you can find you are having a chloroplast, and it's surrounded by a number of the other pigments like carotenoids, xanthophylls and all. So in photosystem 1, chlorophyll B is at the center and it absorbs the 700 nanometer wavelength of light, that is the red light. And in photosystem 2, okay, at the center, that is the reaction center, is chlorophyll A, which absorbs the light energy of 680 nanometer. So these are the pigments which takes part in chloroplast, the photosystem 1. Chlorophyll B, chlorophyll A 670, chlorophyll A 680, 6895, then carotenoids, etc. So in photosystem 2 also you can find the number of pigments takes part. Right. So coming to the cyclic electrons flow. So here this cyclic electrons flow or cyclic photophosphorylation, it takes place in thylakoid membrane. It only uses the photosystem 1, that is the P700, that is photosystem 700 reaction center it is using. So here only ATP is produced and NADP doesn't produce here. So this is the overall or schematic presentation of your cyclic photophosphorylation. So at the base you can find P700 is there, which absorb the sunlight in the form of photons and get excited, and it reach to the level that is the primary acceptor. From there the electrons are released to reach the ferredoxin. From ferredoxin it reach to that is plastoquinine, then phytochrome B6, then from phytochrome the plastocyanine, and again it reach back to photosystem 2, that is P700. So during this process, in between the ferredoxin and phytoquinine, the ATP is synthesized. Similarly, in between the that is cytochrome B6 and PC1, ATP is synthesized. So total 2 ATP molecules is synthesized in this process. So the significance of this cyclic photophosphorylation is, here the ATP is produced in two sites. The chlorophylls molecules are both as a donor and the acceptor of the electrons, and in this process no photolysis, no NADPH2 is released, only ATP molecules are released. Coming to the non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So here you can find the electrons are released through a number of series of enzymes and coenzymes. Here the ATP molecules also synthesize, that is the reason it is known as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So this is the schematic representation of non-cyclic photophosphorylation, in which you can find two photosystems are present. One is your photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So first the electrons are released from the photosystem 2, that is P680. The electrons absorbs, that is the photons, the light energy is absorbed by the reaction center and the antenna molecules and get excited. Okay, from that it reaches to plastoquinine, then phytochrome B6, then plastocyanine. From that the electrons are not came back to that is photosystem 2. It reaches to photosystem 1, where it again get excited and releases the electrons to ferredoxin, where the ferredoxin the electrons are given to NADP reductase, where the NADP is reduced to NADPH2. During this process, the water is photolyzed to release oxygen. And here you can find the ATP molecules also synthesized in between the the plastoquinine and the phytochrome B6. So here both the ATP molecules and the NADPH molecules and the oxygen is released during this process. So here you can find the ATP is reduced to ATP, NADP is reduced to NADPH, and here the water molecule is photolyzed into oxygen by releasing the electrons and photons. So this reaction was discovered by the scientist named as Hill. So that is the reason it is also known as cell reaction or photolysis of water. Then coming to the significance of non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So here it involves both the photosystem 1 and 2. It takes place in non-cyclic manner. Photolysis of water takes place. Photophosphorylation is also taking place. The electrons are not came back to photosystem 2. It came to photosystem 1. That is the reason it is known as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. NADPH2 is also produced. So this ATP molecule and NADPH2 molecule which is produced in light energy is used in dark reaction. So the overall significance of light reaction. So here we need to speak about both the cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So here in the NADPH2 and the ATP which is released in both the cycles are used in dark reactions. The photolysis of water takes place, as a result oxygen is released. And here the light energy is converted into chemical energy. Here the chemical energy is nothing but the ATP and NADPH2 energy rich compounds. Thank you.